Welcome to a summer showcase interview. It's Michael Washington yet again here with the Shady Sports Network. Today, I got a very special guest, Vienna Vikings starting quarterback, and in my opinion, this is not something I told you off air, but in my opinion, the current front runner for the MVP of the ELF, Chris Helbig, quarterback for you. Chris, how are you? And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join me today.
I'm doing well. Bye week, can't complain. Just get to hang out this week a little bit, so doing pretty good. You?
No, I'm doing great, man. You guys have had what one bye week, but it was like early in the season, right? It was first week, week one, I think.
Yeah, we had our very first week was a bye week, so we kind of used it as an extra camp week. We had just kind of practice through that week, so it was the Leipzig week. We had a bye last week, and that was just kind of because the unfortunate circumstances. So this is a bye for us imports, but our team is full of Austrian national team players. A lot of our guys. It's in the 20s, 30s. I don't want to be wrong, but it's up there. Play for the Austrian national team, and they play Sunday, so it's only a bye week for a few of us. So
For
they're still getting after it, and they're practicing. I just talked to one of them earlier today. They're gonna get after it starting tomorrow. So I'm taking it and enjoying it, and they're getting after it. So.
it's good for the imports. I mean, but I'm assuming you guys must also love this time as well because even with some of your homegrowns, like you're able to get out there and at least cheer for them and stuff and support them through that. I imagine, anyways, right?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It was a little bit different last year in Potsdam. We had a couple guys, but I don't remember it being this big. I know Germany is also going through kind of the change of getting back into playing internationally. So this year was a little bit new to me. It was kind of cool to see the guys get prepared for this and just have them talk about how they go to camp for a week and then they'll play Italy on Sunday. It's cool. I've never experienced it, nothing like that before. So it was cool to just see the sense of pride that those guys take, not only playing for Vienna, but also for their home country, which is obviously from the U.S. You don't get to do that football wise too often. So just to see them do that, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't imagine. I can only imagine that experience would be different. I do know that the ELF last year didn't they do a Team USA versus Team Europe like style game? I believe, or I read about it. I'm fairly new to the ELF. I'm just getting into it, diving in this year, so I'm kind of learning as I go, type of situation. But I believe I read something like that. Was that yeah? Is that a
I
thing?
I I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of like you. This is my first year here. Last year was my first year in Europe. Um, So I'm not 100% sure. I know, obviously, I don't think Vienna guys would have partaken in it if it was NFL style, where it was before the championship game or something. So it wasn't a lot of talk about that around here, but
Oh,
I
okay.
came to a great situation, so I'm not too sure that the Vienna guys were too involved.
Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, let's date back a little bit here because you were a highly recruited player out of Colorado, or one of the higher ranked players in Colorado. You ended up going to Southern Utah, and then the pandemic hit because you were in the process of transferring to Eastern Michigan. That's what I read,
Yep.
right? Correct?
Yep.
Yeah. And the pandemic hit and kind of threw everything a little bit out of whack with that. How did you get started, or what was the process? It's a question I ask every person I've talked to. What was the process for you to get to Europe? How did you end up there? Was it a connection? Was it a player that was already playing there and was kind of like you had a relationship with prior? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, so I during the pandemic, I got offered a job opportunity, and just with the no known chance of the season happening. I just graduated college, so being 21 years old and seeing a job offer come through where you make pretty good money, and that was before the NLI. Just being young and dumb, took the job and kind of stopped, didn't play my senior year of football, just with the uncertainty of COVID and everything. And then a year into the job, I was like, man, I missed it a little bit. I think I didn't kind of I guess you could say shoot all the arrows that I had. I still had some left in for the archer field. So I decided to kind of pursue options and see what there was. And Coach Chris actually 2 years ago was my first year working. Just finished college. He hit me up about playing in Vienna when they were in the AFL. And I decided to stay home and take a job instead of play out here. And as soon as I did that and I kind of saw their season get going, I was like, man, I messed up. I should have taken it. Not many opportunities like this come around. I should have taken it. So the end of, I guess it would have been 2 summers ago, I was like, man, I'm going to start getting in shape again, and I'm putting my name out there. And Potsdam actually hit me up, was one of the first teams to hit me up, them and the New Yorker Lions last year. And in the GFL, they're two of the premier programs right now. So that's when I kind of was like, yeah, I'm going to go over there. I don't know where yet, but I'm going to go play, enjoy it, and kind of see what I can do, see what I have left.
I mean, it ended up being a great decision for you. Look, based upon reading the numbers of what happened in 2022 with you in Potsdam. Yeah, you made it to the German Bowl. Did you guys win the German Bowl in that
Nope.
league or no? Okay.
I broke my hand in the semifinals, broke my throwing
Oh,
hand thumb, so I didn't get to play. Not taking anything away from the Unicorns, obviously. Now they're in Stuttgart, a lot of their guys, and they're extremely
right.
successful, great team. But just that competitor in you, you're like, man, you just wanted to see what would have happened otherwise. But no, it was a great year. Unfortunately, broke my hand, but everything's good now. Back to playing with no issues. So it worked out how it's supposed to in the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And being a former player myself, I mean, my background a little bit is, I played center. I mean, I'm not. I mean, you could just tell, but I'm a wide individual. I played center, but those injuries, man, when you can't be there for your team and have that, uh, that run with them, and especially in an important game like that, man, it is definitely tough. So I understand that wholeheartedly, for sure.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So you replace, I hate using the word replace, but I mean, I guess essentially it's what it is. But you replaced Jackson Erdem, who was there, led them to a championship. The Vienna Vikings last year, the ELF
Yep.
to a championship. Great season he had, great team around him. Uh, I asked this question previous to Connor Miller because I talked to Connor a little bit, and when he replaced Zach Edwards in Barcelona, and was there any pressure that you added to yourself coming into this situation, or did the coaching staff and the front office kind of put you a little bit at ease when you walked in there?
Yeah, no, I mean, when Jackson retired, it was actually kind of funny. It was late in the recruiting process. I was headed to go play somewhere else in the ELF. And then Vienna came kind of last second, and just I talked to Coach Chris, and just instantly off that conversation, it was like, man, this is a place to be right now. So it was with ease. I mean, they won it last year, but every year is a new year. This is a new year.
Mm.
Guys are motivated. We're playing some really good football right now. So it was just coming and be myself. I mean, I know what I bring to the table. So for me, it was kind of just go and be myself. Don't play outside my comfort zone. Do what I need to do to just kind of help these guys get even better than what they were last year. So it wasn't anything super pressure wise that I put on myself. It was just be myself, and everything else is going to take care of itself. So
Yeah, I know that there's always like sometimes there's always like that little bit of the competitive nature in there, especially
yeah,
when you're coming off and replacing or taking over, I guess you should say, for a situation like you walked into with Vienna. So that's really good. I mean, you guys are having a great year. You
yep. I
guys got
mean,
a talented squad.
we do, and that's one of my big things that I live by is comparison is the thief of joy. So for me, it's do what I can this year and let the rest take care of itself. So not comparing myself to what they had last year or what the other guys in the league are doing. For me, it's how can I help Vienna be 1-0 this week. So that's kind of how I've marched along in my football career, and I think with social media and stuff these days, that's helped
Uh,
me kind of stay level and just go and enjoy the process. I mean, I get to play in Europe. I'm living in Vienna right now. I would have never guessed that in my life. So it's a blessing no matter what.
yeah, comparison is the thief of joy. I like that. I think I might have you might want to trademark that. That might be something you could trademark.
I
I
stole it
think.
from someone else, so
Oh,
I
you
tell
still.
you.
Well, fair enough. Okay, maybe they should have trademarked it then.
Yeah, they should have. Now it's out there. So
I was gonna say you could probably build something around that. I imagine. Whatever.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, man. So undefeated in this season so far. You guys are, got the 2 week break here. Obviously, the unfortunate with Leipzig. How do you guys tackle each week in the sense of like not allowing the success to kind of be inflated to a point where it starts eating away at the overall, team. Like we've seen that before.
Yep.
But you guys seem to be everything I've ever seen, whether it's the press conferences with you guys, with Coach Chris and a couple of your other players, like you guys always seem to be, I guess, in a way, like competitively humble at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would say the culture here is top notch. There's probably not a lot of programs that have a culture built, so that's hats off to Coach Chris and just the Vienna Vikings organization and the homegrown guys. But I think each week it's just focusing on us. We're gonna do what we can to get better each week. And the awesome thing about being here in Vienna is no one's going for that individual glory. You see no one's the top of the leaderboards. Our running back is. He's carried a huge load just because our other running back got hurt. But early in the season, they were both up there. And defensively, we have one of the top defenses, and no one's super high in the statistical category. I think Xavier with picks. But besides that, it's just focusing on what we can do to be 1-0. We know um, each week if we play our best football, that we're going to be tough to beat. And I think our defense has done that for the last few weeks. So I want to give a shout out to them. They've been absolutely killing it. And offensively, we're still getting better. We're improving every week. Some weeks we play extremely well. Some things we've done, some things that we can get better at, and that's kind of the nature of these leagues where the team turnover is extremely high. I think that kind of building that mesh and that camaraderie takes a little time. So for us to be able to lean on our defense each week has just been huge, and they do a great job. They just take care of business, and so that kind of puts us at ease to just go each week. We put up points, we're going to win, take care of the football. So that's kind of how we approach it. Is offensively, let's take care of the football, and the defense is going to do what they do. So
How much of that culture and mindset allows you to kind of phase out paying attention to what's happening around the league? Like I'm sure you're paying attention enough to understand what's going on, but like to not dwell on it or to not focus on it. Like I primarily ask the question because obviously Jadrain Clark, I can't. I am sorry, I butchered his name. I know how to say it, but the Ryan Fire quarterback obviously
yep.
is one of the other front runners for the league, and I apologize to him for butchering his first name. It's early here, so um, but he's obviously another one of the front runners for the MVP, and they have an undefeated season going on. Like, how much of that culture though is allow you to be able to minimize that as a distraction and focus more on what you guys are doing in front of you?
Yeah, I think the big thing for us is we just kind of focus on what we can take care of, and if the stars align, we'll meet them guys in the playoffs. And just the way the season's not or scheduled, we won't be able to see them in the regular season. So kind of just for us, it's they're having a great year, but we're playing some really good football as well. So we kind of like that the spotlight's not on us, that we win every week and just kind of go under the radar a little bit, as people would say. So that's we like that. We kind of take that a little bit and run with it, and I think that's a big thing for the guys here. A big thing of motivation is we're doing that thing together, and people say that there's good teams here and there, and we're excited to see them. So
Yeah, Jadrian Clark. My apologies
there
to
you
you.
go.
Yeah, I got it. Finally got it. I didn't think I'm thinking about it, but my apologies to you.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
and the thing is I think that there's a lot of I don't want to say top heavy teams, but there is a lot of competition. This is one of the things that I've noticed about the ELF that I'm really impressed with in my first year is obviously the overall level of parity for the most part. Like you have 6 expansion teams. It was an ambitious move this year for the ELF to bring that in. So you're going to have a little bit of imbalance. But even with that being the case, we just saw a couple weeks ago with the Enthroners knocking off the Surge in a pretty impressive in a pretty impressive game. So it's has have you seen a difference between the parity of the ELF and the GFL? I guess is where I was going from your experience.
yeah. I mean, so this is only my second year, so I'm not probably the best guy to speak on it. But this last year, there's GFL's great football. But the difference, I think, is the front seven. The front seven, offensively and defensively, in the ELF is there's some big guys out there that can move, that can play some football. I mean, we've played against Kyle Kitchens now twice, and his whole D line is good there with the Berlin
Yeah.
Thunder. And I mean, right now we're on a tough stretch. 5 games in a row, 5 potential playoff teams. I think we had Roclaw twice, Tyrol twice, and Berlin once here in this 5 game stretch. And so it's a grind every week. Last year there were a couple games, and obviously things have changed just a little bit with some guys moving to the ELF and stuff. But last year there was a few weeks where you would get by not playing your best football, and I feel like this year most games you got to come out and put your best foot forward, or someone can beat you. There's dudes all over the field. There's guys looking to make plays, and I think kind of with how competitive this league is, and unfortunately the roster turnovers, how they turn over quite a bit. It's that you got to make plays, you got to make things happen, or the next man's up situation. So there's no matter who you're playing against, there's guys out there trying to prove themselves and make plays.
This is Current. It's the card my parents used to pay me for mowing the lawn, running errands, and doing well in school. This is the card I used when we got the idea to make our own clothes. And we spread the word, drove downtown, and sold everything we made. This is the card I use to do the things that really matter. This is Current. Visit current.com and download the app for free today.
Yeah, that was one of the things you touched a little bit about it, and obviously, a lot of one of the big news is coming out of the last week was obviously what was happening with the Raiders over there in Tyrol and what was going on there. The turnover was actually a little surprising for me in the sense of uh, just just not something I necessarily expected from certain teams in general, but did you see a lot of that in the same manner when you were with the GFL last year?
Not a lot, but also the ELF is very good about their social media.
Mhm.
So I think that's different as well. It's just they're very good in their media things, and GFL is a little more offline, I guess you could say. But there was a little bit, but just speaking, I guess with Potsdam, there was not very much turnover, and here there's not. But I think some of the really good teams, there's not as much turnover. They take pride in the guys that they bring in and helping them improve and outreach and do what they can to help bring their guys along instead of just kind of kicking them to the curb. So I think that's kind of a trend. You see some of the really good teams, they do what they can to bring their guys along. When you sign up, it's a family you sign up to be a part of, and if you fit in the culture and you're doing things the right way, I'm sure it's a tough pill to swallow if they release you. So that's a little bit different for me as well, just seeing how much turnover there is, and I'm not sure exactly what it is. Maybe it's the lower roster numbers since it's kind of the NFL model where there's 50 whatever guys on the active roster and only 10 European imports compared to the GFL where you have that unlimited European import slot. So it's totally different. So I understand that a little bit, but I was surprised as well that it seems like every week there's a couple guys here and there just making switches on some teams. So that was definitely different for me too.
Yeah, I kind of chalked it up a little bit to just obviously we know the ELF is in its infancy as far as a league is concerned, and their social media game is on point, like you were saying. So maybe it just feels like it's a lot more than it really technically is. And I know a lot of these programs or a lot of these clubs, or I guess they're not clubs. I guess they're actual teams in the sense of the word between clubs and teams. Um, don't really have a lot of the same kind of youth outreach that some other teams have. I know Vienna. I believe you guys have a whole culture as far as like youth reach out and youth in the youth program out there as well. If I am correct, right?
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. They have a sports school that the kids can go to, and one of their classes, I think, is football practice and things like that. So it's awesome. I thought it was a European soccer thing, and then I saw that Vienna kind of has that as well, and it was impressive. It's cool.
How's your how is your, like, from your point of view, as far as American football in Europe being received by the fans and stuff? Because the NFL, obviously the NFL is a little bit of a different animal in the sense
Yep.
of, like, when they go to London and Germany and Mexico and they sell out all over the place, but it seems like there is a desire for this sport to be successful over there and whatnot. It might be a little bit slower growth than some people want because everybody wants instant success overnight,
Yep.
but it seems to be growing in popularity over there.
Yeah, so how I related it best when I went home this last few months before the season was kind of not, I don't want to ruffle any feathers or anything, but to me, it's comparative to kind of like the MLS culture in the United States, where it's more of kind of that niche fan that loves soccer and is into the MLS, even though there's better leagues in Europe. There's the Premier League and stuff, but it's just so far away that you kind of become a fan of what's local. So I think there's kind of that community that loves football or just loves sports in general, and the NFL so far away, you're not going to make it to their games unless you spend a ton of money to get over to the US and stuff. So I think it's kind of like that MLS culture in America where there's a few diehard fans and then there's those people that just appreciate the game and appreciate the sport and have become a fan over time.
Yeah, and the MLS, and that's actually good news. I like hearing that because the MLS is growing over here. I
It
mean,
is. Yep.
I don't I don't know how I feel about the package deal that they did with Apple TV, but that's a different story for a different day. But it is growing over here, though. There is growing interest in it, so that's good news. Especially when you're talking about not just the ELF, and I think it's easy to discuss the ELF in a sense because I feel like the feeling over there is the ELF is kind of like the, I don't want to say the top league, like, without ruffling any feathers myself, but a lot of that, strive to want to play at the top level of competition, and it feels like the ELF might be that. But it's good news for leagues like the GFL that's been around for a while, and the Austrian leagues, and these smaller leagues as well, to kind of have that interest.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it is. It's huge, and I think growing the game is the number one priority here. I don't think that they don't necessarily have that competitive nature between league and league. I think it's more of let's grow the game. So that's
Mm.
pretty cool. There's obviously some with the GFL being bigger until the ELF kind of took off the last couple years. I think there's a little bit between those two. But I think other than that, it's kind of seems like it's the big thing is let's grow the game of football. Let's see what football can do in Europe. So I think that's been kind of cool to be a part of, and then just see. I know I'm new out here, but it's cool that there's leagues in all these other countries that you would have never guessed, and football's just brought out because of ELF signed someone from this league or from this team, and you would have never heard of this team here and there. So I think
Mm.
it's pretty cool. It's growing for sure. I think the ELF's helping it grow, and I think it's also helping the local leagues a little bit kind of grow and bring interest maybe to some people in America and things like that. So it's grown for sure, and I think it's only going to get bigger.
Yeah, and I talked to Randy Schrader this past week as well, and he plays for the Central European Football League, which is a league that
Oh,
I had heard a little bit about, but I did
yeah.
not know was an actual thing, and getting to know that as well. So I mean, it's been quite a whirlwind for me to see that these leagues have been around for a little bit and they've been playing, and the level of competition over there, and especially how I'm always curious, especially, like, how the obviously when I asked you the question about how Americans get over there, but I'm always just curious about the culture side of things. So I got to ask you. I asked
Yeah.
Connor this question because he's been in four different countries, but with in your opinion, between Austria and Germany, who has the best food?
Oh man. I
Oh yeah,
will
yeah.
say that I ate a lot of donors in Germany, and I like the durum, which is kind of like a wrap of it. And in Germany, it was unbeatable. Now I'm living in Austria, so I can't get in too much trouble. But I will say the schnitzels in Austria are better. That's for
Okay.
sure. And but yeah, the kebabs and things like that, Germany was good. But I both of them have been amazing, amazing experience. Just totally different from home. It's been so cool to just see, and it's you would never guess it. And even when you come on vacation to Europe, you kind of go eat at what the tourists go eat at and do stuff that the tourists do. So to actually kind of live in the culture and see things from the other side of the perspective is it's awesome. It's really cool.
How did you speak any different languages prior to coming over, or have you learned as you've gone on as well?
No,
Were you bilingual at all? No.
no, I did not. I was not before, and I'm not very much now. I mean, I thought I was gonna, in within 2 years of being involved with the German language, I thought I'd pick it up, but it's a lot more difficult than I ever gave it credit to. So I can order myself some food, and if I get lost, I can find my way back home. But besides that, it's still a little bit difficult for me.
So essentially, you could just get by. You could just
Yeah,
pass as
that's
like
it. Yep, that's it. Just
Yeah,
get by.
yeah. I'm not bilingual at all either, so I can only imagine what that kind of learning curve was for you there, Chris. By all means, uh, future. Obviously, I believe that most ELF contracts are short term instead of the long term situation. I'm sure the goal is to stay in Vienna or is be there as long as you can. Is there any other, I guess, giant aspirations that you're looking for, or are you pretty content with where you're at, or what's the future hold for Chris Helbig as far as or his your primary goals?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm huge on just living day to day, making the most out of the day. So I haven't thought too far in the future, but I mean, I'm kind of at that age where I have a couple years left, but also if an injury were to happen or something, knock on wood, that doesn't happen again, I would be perfectly happy with what I've been able to do in my career. So we'll see. We'll see how the season finishes up. I love it here in Vienna. I honestly don't think there's a better program to be at in Europe right now, just culture wise, history, the way they
Hmm.
treat their players. So if Europe's in my future, I hope it's here in Vienna. Obviously, it's a 1 year contract, so we'll see. But also a dream would to be able to finish in front of my family. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens in Colorado over the next couple years. I know that football's growing again back in America in the sense of different leagues and different opportunities. So we'll see. I mean, I'm taking it day by day. I love it here. I love the people here. They treat me well. The culture's awesome. So it's just kind of enjoy every practice, every rep, every game because I know I'm getting towards the end, but who knows how far that is out. It's easier said than done. So.
I mean, I feel like that your age does not put you anywhere near close towards the end, Chris. I feel like you're being a little modest there with that. I
Yeah,
mean,
it might be the injuries. That might be it. That might be that aged me a little bit past. I think I'm on surgery 4 in the last 7 years, 8 years.
oh, yeah,
So
that will definitely do it for sure.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
as long as I'm healthy, I plan to kind of keep slinging the rock around. But obviously, football's a pretty violent game, and you never know. So for me, it's just kind of appreciate each game. You never really know. So
Love that attitude. That's awesome, man. That's incredible. Hopefully, you avoid the injury bug here,
yeah,
for the rest of the way down the
thank
road.
you.
Because I know we love watching you out there. I mean, my whole purpose of this is to try to bring ELF to Americans and kind of bring eyes to it, and having anybody on it's been humbling to me as far as what we do here, and it's been awesome to have this with you. I don't have any other questions to ask you, but if there's anybody you want to shout out or anybody you want to give any special recognition to, by all means, man, the mic is yours to do
Oh, I'm good. I mean,
that.
I gave my shout out to the Vikings defense. But no, I'm just anyone who watches, man. I appreciate it and all the stuff that Europe's provided me. It's been home for the last couple years. I felt at home. I haven't got homesick and coming here speaking one language. Everyone's treated me great. All the players from the other team have been awesome to kind of get to know and stuff. So it's really been an awesome journey. I'm thankful for it. I wouldn't want it any other way. So I appreciate all those that kind of follow me. I know there's even some people back at home that I don't even know that watch our games and they're tuned in and stuff like that. So it's been great the support out here and the support from Vienna and when I lived in Germany. So I'm just grateful and thankful for everybody that's kind of been along the journey.
I love watching you play, Chris, and I love watching the Vikings play. But as a Warclaw fan, uh, you know, don't do us, too dirty.
No, I mean that's our next game, man, and it's a battle. Coach Likens, he's the real deal out here defensively. He gets his guys going. They do a lot of different stuff, so that's definitely an opponent we respect, and we
Yeah.
know that offensively, if our defense didn't step up huge last game, that we would have suffered that first loss this season. So we're excited about this next one in Wrocław. We know it's a tough place to play. Last year, last game of the season, I know they beat up Vienna pretty good right
Yeah.
before the playoffs. So we'll be ready to go. We'll be excited. We respect the heck out of them. We know they're a playoff caliber team, and that they, especially with that new signing of AJ, man, they're a team to watch out for right now. So we're excited to play them again, and we'll be ready to go here in the next couple weeks.
Well, good luck to you good luck to you in week 11 either way, and
Thank you so much.
it should be a fun game to watch either way. But thank you again, Chris. One of the front runners for the MVP of the ELF, for joining me. That's been it for Summer Showcase today. Until next week.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.